That's it. No more trade rumors. No more trade ideas. This is the New York Yankees. This is the New York Mets. And it's time to win. We got a lot to talk about on this Friday. The fallout from the trade deadline, of course. We will be joined by the general manager of the New York Yankees, Brian Cashman, who right now, his popularity rating in New York is through the roof.
He went to town. He said he was, and he did.
He did. And he also did something in the last 10 minutes that I didn't see coming. So obviously he makes all the trades from yesterday. We were live on the air for it, including the Camilo Doval shocker right at the buzzer. But they just announced, hey, we've added David Bednar to the roster. He's wearing number 53. Cool. They added Jake Bird to the roster. He's wearing number 59. Awesome. Camilo Doval has been added to the roster, number 75. Jose Caballero added to the roster, number 72. And then the Yankees throw in at the end of all of that, we've released Marcus Stroman. And I'm surprised. Now, the Yankees had a decision to make this weekend because Luis Gil is back. He got through his rehab, and he's returning on Sunday. And when you look at the Yankee five starters, obviously Max Fried and Carlos Rodon are locks. Luis Gil is back. That's number 3. And then you've got Cam Schlittler and Will Warren and Marcus Stroman. And so who would the odd man out be? I think if you're trying to preserve the depth of starting pitching, you could easily say, you know what? Cam could work out of the bullpen.
Right.
The problem is you got such a loaded bullpen, what kind of role would he have? So if you're looking at performance, the performance would say Marcus Stroman, who came back from the injured list, went out, made 6 starts, pitched to a 4.5 ERA. Wasn't great, wasn't terrible, it was just blah. But when you release him, you kind of eliminate your pitching depth just in case there's another injury. So I tell you this, just hearing the news in the last few minutes, I'm kind of surprised that Brian and the Yankees did this and released Marcus Stroman.
I think it's surprising only because do we really trust Cam Schlittler to be that guy for the rest of the season? Do we trust that Luis Gil is going to come back and be healthy? And even if he is healthy, is he effective as a starting pitcher for the New York Mets? And again, when we talked about this yesterday, I threw out Will Warren as the guy who was likely the third starter.
Right.
But that was kind of just hope and prayer of Will Warren. But Is he a postseason starting pitcher quality? I don't know. There are some games where he feels like he is. There are others where he feels like the young player that he actually is. So it's really one of those. I'm going to say it was a good decision because Marcus Stroman has this propensity to just not be the guy. Kind of like he was yesterday. He was great for 3 innings, and all of a sudden he fell apart.
Yeah.
But so I guess I'm okay with it, but it does leave some big question marks for the Yankees going the rest of the season and certainly into the postseason.
Yeah, I think what it does is Ryan Yarbrough is on his way back, so he's pitching depth just in case.
Morash's favorite.
Right. And the other thing, and luckily Brian's going to join us in 2 hours, and he is very honest. I mean, he was honest about DJ LeMahieu, which is now old news, when he said DJ couldn't play third base. Yep. He didn't want to play third base. So I think it's fair to ask Brian, and we'll see if he gives the answer, that Marcus Stroman was told, we're going to move you to the bullpen, and to go all the way back to February, Marcus Stroman said, I'm not going to do that. And obviously, if that was the answer, and I don't know if it was, I'm just going back to spring training when that was an issue, or it potentially was an issue, then I could understand it. So I'm curious if this release has anything to do with that, because the last thing you want to do when you really can't add to your roster in August and September, because you can't. The only thing you can do is call guys up.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, you can claim guys off waivers, which is kind of a newish thing where teams fall out of it and they put expensive guys on waivers, and you can technically pick them up, but you can't bank on that. The last thing you want to do is give up starting pitching depth, and they just did by releasing Marcus Stroman. So I'm not saying it's the worst thing in the world. I'm just more surprised by it because usually you want to hoard anybody that could potentially make a start for you down the stretch.
You just eliminate some options.
Yes.
A little bit. That's what it comes down to. The optionality is not there for the Yankees come the rest of the regular season and into the postseason. And I think that's okay as long as Luis Gil is fine and Cam Schlittler keeps pitching relatively well. Big if, though.
And he's going to get the opportunity.
Big if.
And you talk about the postseason. Obviously, the Yankees have a lot of work to do to get to the postseason, and we'll see if it's a wild card series or a division series. Right now, the Yankees have 2 guys who are making postseason starts, assuming they're healthy. Max Fried's your ace, no question. Carlos Rodon's had a solid year. Right now, over the course of the final stretch of this season, hey, Will Warren, it's your world. Hey, Luis Gil, it's your world. Hey, Cam Schlittler, it's your world. Based on how well guys pitch, and assuming the Yankees are playing October baseball, I think when we're sitting here in late September having this discussion again, the answer may be more obvious on who's making postseason starts. Now, in terms of what the Yankees and Mets did yesterday and the days leading up to this, it is rare, if not impossible, to hit every target at a trade deadline. And I remember in the weeks leading up to the trade deadline, one of the conversations around the Yankees was they have so many holes. They got third base. They need a right-handed bat. They need bullpen help. And they need starters. I would say that Brian Cashman hit at about an 80% clip because he not only added a third baseman in Ryan McMahon, he added three useful, right-handed bats that can come off this bench. Guys like Ahmed Rosario, guys like Slater, guys like Caballero. He completely remade the Yankee bench so we don't have to watch Oswald Peraza and Yorbit Vivas in this world. So he did that. The bullpen. I mean, I got to tell you, he did more with this bullpen than I could have expected. He got two controllable closers. And that doesn't even include Jake Bird, who we'll see about. I know he struggled over the last month, and you never know with relievers, but to walk away with Camilo Doval and David Bednar, like, if we're all being honest, even if you're the archest Brian Cashman hater, even if you were the guy at Yankee Stadium with the Fire Brian Cashman banner, which I can't wait to ask Brian about, because I'm curious if he has a message to that guy today. Like, hey, I got 2 words for you.
Yeah, they were pretty good.
He didn't add a starter. And, yeah, the Mets didn't add a starter. And it's totally fair today to say, come on, they didn't add a starter. But what starter did you want him to add?
My question with Jake Bird is, what kind of beard is he rocking right now?
The good news for Jake Bird is he doesn't have to shave it.
He doesn't have to fully shave it.
Right.
But he does. There were times in his career where that thing was unruly. I don't know if it's like that now. I haven't seen him lately, but I wonder what kind of beard he's going to rock.
Well, he's going to have to clean that up. The Yankees still have sort of rules. But it's tough to get annoyed about not adding a starter. Like, could the Yankees have used a starter? Yeah. Could the Mets have used a more top-of-the-rotation starter? Absolutely. But when you look at the remnants of this trade deadline now, who are you screaming that they didn't get?
No, well, we know how the starters didn't go really until the very end.
And not a lot did.
And again, not a lot did. The asking prices were too high. But I think the Yankee fan is cautiously optimistic that Luis Gil is going to be fine. That meaning he's going to be the fine addition at the trade deadline, as Sean mentioned a couple of times yesterday. I think you hope that he has a semblance of what he did last year, where he was Rookie of the Year. He felt seamless. He felt like he'd been in the league for a few years and just didn't feel the pressure. So it's just a cautious optimism. And I think it's all you could do, given what was it being asked for starting pitchers at this trade deadline. I almost feel like, and we'll ask Brian Cashman, who did he go after, and why did he say no? And the answer is going to be they were asking for too much.
Well, there's a report from John Heyman that in the Sandy Alcantara, Edward Cabrera, Marlin conversations, they were insisting on Spencer Jones, and they were insisting on George Lombard Jr.
Right, only for Paul Skeens.
I don't know if that's necessarily true, but for Sandy Alcantara, and
sounds good.
Yeah. For Sandy Alcantara, and I love Sandy. I think he is going to blossom next year and the year after. He's under team control for multiple years. He's been a Cy Young caliber pitcher, but he's coming off Tommy John surgery.
Yeah.
And in terms of 2025, there's a lot of questions about what he would provide to you over the last 2 months in the postseason.
Yeah, but that would have just been let's hope he's okay now, but we got him for 2 years.
Yes.
That's what that would have been.
That to me, and I don't want to be a prospect hugger for both the New York Mets and the New York Yankees, but I would not have traded either of my top prospects for Sandy Alcantara, and I love Sandy. And so in the Met case, if the Marlins, and I don't know if it ever got this far, but if they were asking for Brandon Sproat or they were asking for Jonah Tong, I would have said no too. Same thing with the Yankees on Spencer Jones and George Lombard Jr., and that's not prospect hugging. Look, Brian Cashman and David Stearns did a few things that are very similar and a few things that are very different over the last couple of days. They all traded prospects. They all traded guys who have a chance to be good. But none of them, at least for now, are considered premium prospects.
Right.
And they did it and still really added to their roster.
Oh, we also just have to, and I think this is hard to do, realize that sometimes a prospect is there to be traded.
Oh, yes.
I mean, it's part of the process, especially when you have a team that's built with a few or almost a handful of stars, right? The Mets are that way. The Yankees are that way. There are stars on this team, guys who you know are professionals. You know that they can perform for the entirety of a full 162 for the most part. And we know I don't call about Aaron Judge. For the most part, they're going to get to the postseason and do what they're supposed to do. But at some point, like you got to think about replacing them, but it's not now.
Right.
It's years from now. And so that's what prospects are for in the long term. But in the short term, they're there to be traded.
A lot of them are. And really what it comes down to is, like, one of the things I found interesting is when the Yankees got David Bednar, we look at, who did they trade? And they traded Rafael Flores, who's their 8th best prospect. Mm-hmm. And then they traded their 14th best prospect. And another guy not in the top 30. And we look at that and say, wow, that doesn't seem like it's a lot. How did the Yankees get him?
Right.
And what was really interesting is Ben Sherrington, the GM of the Pirates, admitted, we just like those guys better. Yeah, there are other packages that are ranked higher in terms of prospect rankings. He liked those guys. So sometimes it's just finding the right kind of matchup with another general manager and how they view your young players. And I don't know what Rafael Flores is going to be. I don't know what Rock Riggio is going to be or Tristan Vierling's going to be.
Yeah, I don't even care at this point.
You can't, because what the Yankees did, and they traded, I added this up, they traded 13 young players over the last week. Okay? 6 of them are not in the top 30 of their prospect rankings. 7 of them are. The highest ranked prospect was Rafael Flores at 8. The next highest was 10.
Right.
So they didn't give up a lot of highly regarded prospects. And what they did is they added 3 relievers, all of which are going to be here next year. So, like, if you're a Yankee fan who doesn't believe in this team, and I think you should, because why the hell not? I don't think the American League's that good. Why can't get hot at the right time? They added 3 relievers who aren't just potentially going to help you this year, but are here next year. And they did the same thing with Ryan McMahon. He's here next year, too. So the Yankees were able to not trade top-end prospects, at least ones that aren't ranked very high, because you never know what the next few years are going to look like. And they were able to bring in 6 different players. 5 of the 6 are here next year. Now, the Mets did the complete opposite, which I'll get to in a second in terms of controllability, but I don't know how, as a Yankee fan, and I know you've had your issues with Cashman and Boone and the organization, and you've called up this radio station, or you've talked into a microphone saying all these horrible things about the Yankees, and maybe they were right at the time. But I don't know how today, on August 1st, you can't be giddy about what the Yankees just did.
We're in it to win it.
What was that?
You should be.
You gotta be.
I mean, they did all they could do. That's what I feel at this point. They did all that they could do. And was there a starting pitcher available? Probably, but it wasn't worth it.
Who? For anyone who says it, is Merrill Kelly the guy? And I heard Sal mention earlier that he had heard Merrill Kelly didn't want to pitch in New York, which, by the way, is a huge thing. And Brian's had this experience over the years in figuring out who can and who can't. If there's an inkling that a guy can't pitch here or a guy can't play here, I'm sorry, I'm running far away. New York is a different animal. You know better than anybody.
Of course, after Sonny Gray, the Yankees will never do that.
I don't buy that about Sonny Gray, but I'm not going to get into that argument today.
Well, they believe it. That's all that matters.
That's a disagreement
That's all that matters is they believe it.
Kevin Brown's a better one there.
Kevin Brown? I think Kevin Brown was cooked at the end.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was not handling New York necessarily.
Well, if you're having a mental breakdown in a locker after a start, I would say not handling it well.
That's because he's intense, man. Amari Stoudemire did the same thing. No one would say he couldn't handle New York. But I think they did a great job. Now, here's the tough part for the New York Yankees and the New York Mets. I think David Stearns did a wonderful job. I think Brian Cashman did a wonderful job. And I don't remember very often coming on Sports Talk Radio the day after a trade deadline and saying that about both GMs. I don't know if I've ever said that. Where, hey, both guys did a great job. And they did. On paper, they absolutely did. They both didn't give up top prospects. They both built super bullpens. We could have fun arguments about which bullpen is better. All good. Now the tough part. And the tough part is Aaron Boone and the New York Yankees have to get their heads out of their ass, not make mental mistakes, play smart baseball, and win. And for the New York Mets, Francisco Lindor and Peter Jefferson Aloysius Alonso, they too have to get said heads out of their ass and start hitting. These general managers, in my opinion, did their job. They went out and did their job.
Right.
And now, the tough part. It is on Aaron Boone. It is on Carlos Mendoza, but more importantly, it is on the players to now do their job. So I don't know how this season's going to end. I don't know where it ends for the Yankees. I don't know where it ends for the Mets. I have no idea. None of us do. Baseball's baseball, and you can't predict it. But here's what I know. When we write the obituary, the obituary? The obituary.
Postscript.
The postscript. That's an easier word to say.
And it's less morbid.
That's true. Then we're talking about death. When we write the postscript of this season, we cannot write on the tombstone Cashman's fault.
Right.
Stearns' fault. Because I think both guys maybe didn't have the greatest off seasons or the perfect off seasons in the case of Brian Cashman, but they went out at the trade deadline and they added and they made these teams good and they competed. And now it's time, and this is the tough part, and some may say it's the boring part, because you can't call up sports talk radio making trade demands for Stephen Kwan or God knows who. Now you got to play.
Yeah. And that's the part that it ultimately, when it falls on the players, we now get mad at the players.
That's right.
Now the conversation or the anger that I had yesterday for the Yankees' ineffectiveness, despite winning, not the game yesterday, the game 2 days ago. Now that's every day. Now it's on the players. Now it's on Aaron Boone because it's so hard to evaluate any of these things until you actually see guys play. Like, who knows what David Bednar is going to look like as a Yankee?
Right.
No idea.
No idea.
So as soon as we know, then we can evaluate whether or not Brian Cashman did a good job. But the reality is, he said he was going to go to town, and he went to town, relatively speaking, and got everything that the Yankees, in our minds, we think that they needed.
Well, hold on a second. Hold on a second. You just threw something in there. You said, relatively speaking. I'm going to ask you point blank. Did Brian Cashman go to town?
I mean, what... He filled what he needed to fill.
Stop dancing.
Yeah.
Did he go to town, Tiki? Yes or no?
When I hear go to town, I think I'm going to get the most expensive steak. I'm going to get the most expensive bottle of wine.
Right.
I'm setting up for a 3-course meal, and it's going to be hell. I might even go get candles. Probably the fake ones, so I don't risk burning my house down. But still, I'm going to go make this thing and church it up for real. I mean, he did some good moves. It was more like he went to the market. He didn't go to town.
Oh, come on.
He went to the market.
I disagree. I think he went to town. Sean is a Yankee fan, and you have been a harsh Brian Cashman critic. Did he go to town?
He went to town.
Thank you.
And got luxury boots, too. The restaurant was great. He had appetizer money.
I also don't think, I know that for 3 weeks, maybe more, when talking about the Yankee trade deadline, there was a lot of they have so many holes. It was never realistic that you were literally going to fill every single hole.
No.
And I would argue, and we'll ask Cash about this, that a part of why they went almost overboard with the bullpen, because I'd argue they didn't need 3 relievers. I think once they added David Bednar and even Jake Bird, I felt like their bullpen's fine.
Yeah.
I think a part of why they went even more so towards it was we're not getting a starting pitcher.
Right.
So let's make up for the fact that we can't do that by building a bullpen that is so deep and so long that in the 4th inning or the 5th inning, we can start using high-leverage guys.
Right.
And I think both the Yankees and the Mets are now equipped to do that.
And you can do it multiple days in a row.
Yes.
Because of how many guys you now have in your bullpen.
So even though he didn't add a starter, which I don't put on him just based on the starters that were moved, same with the Mets, because these conversations are almost like they override each other. We're talking about two things that are related, like both teams could have used a starter. I think the Mets were more looking for the high-end guy. The Yankees could have used more of a middle-of-the-rotation guy since they already have a high-end guy in Max Fried. But I excuse both of them for not getting a starting pitcher because I didn't see a starting pitcher moved that I'd say, where are you at on this? Right. I didn't see that happen. It didn't happen. So I think Brian Cashman went to town. And so to the Yankee fan out there, I ask you a question. Number one, are you going to call up the radio today and apologize to Brian Cashman? You have the option to do that. Or you can go the other way and say, no, I'm still not pleased. So we'll hear from the Yankee fan. We will hear from the Met fan. How are we feeling after the trade deadline? They did add Cedric Mullins. Is that good enough? The Mets' issues this season has mostly been their offense. Is Cedric Mullins good enough? I heard Michael Cole today, voice of WWE, diehard Met fan. You know what he said? Cedric Mullins ain't good enough. So there's a mixture of opinions regarding that.
We have some breaking news in the sports world.
What is it? Which sport?
The NFL.
The NFL? What, these pigs, they just can't let baseball have their day.
Micah Parsons has tweeted, thank you, Dallas, with a long, and I mean, say King Aaron Judge alarm going off, a long long screed about his time in Dallas coming to an end, in which he ends it. I have made the tough decision. I no longer want to play for the Dallas Cowboys. My trade request has officially been submitted to Stephen Jones personally.
Wow. This has certainly been bubbling over the last few months.
It was really the last year.
Yeah. And now it's come to the bubbling moment of the best defensive player in football. Is that a fair statement to say?
He's one of them. I don't know if he's the best, but he's one of the best defensive ends in football, that's for sure.
He's on the current Mount Rushmore of defensive players.
Yes.
Has told the Dallas Cowboys, you're dead to me.
Go scratch.
We'll get more into that coming up. Like, will the Dallas Cowboys trade him? Can I at least fantasize about it, even though you guys can't because they're not trading him to the New York Giants?
Oh, we don't need him.
Wow. We
got 3 good ones.
Nah, I got it.
Week 2, by the way, win.
We'll get into the Micah Parsons thing along with the Terry McLaurin thing. I mean, we've got multiple NFC East players demanding trades in the last 17 hours. So a lot of football stuff to get to. We will get to your phone calls on the Yankees, on the Mets. We mentioned it earlier. Brian Cashman will join us coming up at 4 o'clock. So we'll have a nice chat with him concerning the state of the New York Yankees. They released Marcus Stroman, if you're just tuning in. That's also relatively new breaking news. After making all these acquisitions and letting Marcus Stroman try to fight through 5 innings yesterday, he's been handed his papers. We'll get you. By the way, it just popped into my head. Maybe the Mets should sign him. Pitching depth. What?
Go for it. You got to enjoy it.
Micah Parsons has written a book. I went on social media, and he's literally written like a 7-page essay on why he's demanding a trade from the Dallas Cowboys. And I guess if we wanted to summarize it in like 10 or 15 seconds, Jerry Jones is a fool. And was talking to Micah Parsons this offseason about leadership, brought up his contract. Micah was honest about what he would want, said, hey, I'll have my agent call you. His agent calls Jerry and Stephen Jones, and they're like, what are you talking about? We've already made a deal. And Micah's like, what are they talking about?
Yeah.
And so he's pissed, and he says, I'm done.
It sounds like it has a grievance written all over it.
Oh, that's ugly then.
Yeah, it could get ugly, especially if Micah Parsons levies some kind of accusation that Jerry, and I guess Stephen, by extension, were negotiating with him and then refused to negotiate with his agent. That could get ugly.
So
real ugly.
My gut feeling when I hear stuff like this, even Terry McLaurin, is that, because we talked about Terry earlier this week, especially in regards to the Jets, because it kind of surprised me that the Jets were the favorites to acquire Terry McLaurin before he ever demanded a trade. And what we ended up saying about Terry when we wrapped the discussion up is, ultimately it'll work itself out, and he'll probably stay with Washington. And my gut, in a case like this, especially with Micah Parsons, who's so freaking good, is that he's going to get paid and he'll be a Cowboy. Mm-hmm. And we'll all witness this. The national media will salivate over it. Even we will, because of the giant Cowboy connection and all the Cowboy fans in New York. But we're all wasting our time because ultimately, Micah Parsons will be a Dallas Cowboy for the rest of his career. Are you telling me, Tiki, that some of the things Micah said are so bad that maybe this is irrefixable?
Irreparable?
Irreparable! Are you telling me this is irreparable?
I mean, this sounds like he doesn't want to have any kind of conversation or negotiation with the Dallas Cowboys going forward. One, just to further explain this post, he said after 2023, so before last season, he reached out to the Cowboys about getting a deal done. He even said, to an extent, he would take a hometown discount.
Right.
And then he had the same conversation after the 2024 season. So this offseason, they wanted nothing to do with him until this leadership thing came up. This leadership meeting came up, and Jerry Jones thinks he negotiated the deal with Micah Parsons without engaging his agent, and now it's come to a head. And I think part of it is that the Cowboys, let's assume, because there are reports that come out saying Micah's doing this or Micah did this or Micah's hurt too much or blah, blah, blah. He thinks it's all coming from the Cowboys. And so now his feelings are hurt, in addition to him getting no response from the Cowboys about any kind of contract negotiation. So it just kind of created this, I'm done with you. You're dead to me.
You're dead to me.
Type of moment for Micah Parsons. So much so that he posted this thing on X that basically says, see ya. Thank you for having me. And so we'll see.
Ugly.
The trade deadline is in, or the trade request is in. We'll see what happens.
Can I be the first? Are you guys good with it? Can I be the first?
Right.
Sure.
Will McDonald in a number one. Let's go.
I was going Kayvon 2 once.
2 ones.
Yeah, we got to pay the division price.
24? He's 20.
And his good friends Abdul Carter, we spoke to yesterday. We got to pair the two.
Penn State East.
Here's the problem. Mine is a fantasy. Yours is a bigger fantasy. The Cowboys are obviously not trading Micah Parsons inside the division. He's not going to the Eagles. He's not going to the Giants. He's not going to go to the Commanders. I think if they ever traded him, the Jets have any chance as anybody. I think that, in all seriousness, because we're all screwing around, but now I'm getting serious. Jets are in a tough spot trading a first-round pick because we may need a quarterback next year.
Right.
But imagine the Jets do that trade and then suck, and now it's like a top 3 pick in the Arch Manning draft. And Micah is a generational kind of talent, so I wouldn't be crying over it, but I don't know if they're in position to do it. But that's my first thought. I'm sure Jet fans are thinking the same thing.
No, the Jets screwing the Giants and handing the Cowboys a legitimate franchise quarterback for the next 15 years. Don't you dare do it.
No, I know. That's the risk in this whole thing. I almost need to know where the Jets are picking before we make a trade like that.
Right.
But they're not trading him.
Word of advice to
They're not trading him. Am I wrong about that?
There's no chance.
They're not just going to say, sure, you get what you want. We're going to move you.
No chance that they're trading him.
And we've seen ugly contract negotiations between Jerry, Stephen Jones, and Cowboy players before. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't think it's ever gotten this ugly, but my gut still tells me, as much fun as we'll have with it, making fun of Dallas or coming up with fake trades, ultimately, we're going to get the breaking news at some point. Micah Parsons signs the biggest contract in NFL history for a non-quarterback.
Schefter did tweet this. Parsons is 26. At 27, Khalil Mack was traded. The Bears gave up 2 firsts, a third, and a 6th to get Mack and a second rounder.
By the way, your package of 2 number ones is not crazy. They will ask for something like that.
But I think it's got to be more than that for Khalil Mack,
you're
right?
You're 1,000% right, and I think it's going to come down to the individual team and how far are you willing to go. I think if this does become a real discussion as a Jet fan, it is very complicated because I like Justin Fields. I want to see what he's got, but the reality is it's very likely the Jets are going to be searching for a quarterback in this year's draft, the next year's draft,
right,
and the year after. So moving multiple number ones when you're not protected at quarterback does feel uber risky, if you will.
I think the Cowboys need a hostile takeover to get Jerry out of there. Little business side of things.
No, but
his
son's running the show, too.
What are you going to do? You're going to get him out of there? There's going to be Steven.
Yeah.
Now, maybe he's more rational and less, I don't know, off the wall than Jerry, but still. It's not going to be that much different. Apple doesn't fall that far from the tree.
Yeah, I mean, Steven's a part of this same thing.
Yeah, I mean, Micah is not cool with Steven more than he is with Jerry.
Yeah, but I get that's what the Cowboy fan is thinking right now. They're done with Jerry Jones, and why wouldn't you? All right, let's get to your phone calls. Obviously, this Micah Parsons thing on the table as well, but a lot on the Yankees and the Mets, who had very aggressive trade deadlines. I said it at the top of the show. To me, this is the happiest I think Met and Yankee fans should be coming out of a trade deadline.